welcome to the Procurement Masterclass Guide to Working with Caltrans. We're on our second session. So we are just a couple minutes early, so I'm just going to go ahead and wait a few more minutes for people to trickle in. And then in the meantime, feel free to introduce yourself on the chat. Put down your name, your industry, and then also your company, so then you can get to know each other on the chat and network. And then we'll be getting started very, very shortly. Okay, hello everyone. Good afternoon. Welcome to our second session of the Procurement Masterclass. So this is the second one in the series, and this one is Guide to Working with Caltrans. So we had our session one last week, and then we had an Intro to Procurement with Caltrans, and session two is Obtaining Certifications. So I am Christina Espiritu with PACE, Pacific Asian Consortium in Employment. So as I'm going through, feel free to introduce yourself on the chat. As I had mentioned, put down your name, your industry, and then also the company that you're in. I'd love to see a lot of networking going on in the chat, and feel free to introduce each other. Just a few housekeeping items. So make sure you are on listening mode, and then please use the raise hand function if you would like to unmute yourself and ask questions. We'll do this sparingly because we want to give a chance to our speakers to complete their presentation, because we're going to have a few minutes after to ask Q&A, so to post questions. So with regarding questions, so there are two ways. You can either post it on the chat or put it on the Q&A. We would prefer to put it on the Q&A section of Zoom, so then I don't miss it. A lot of times the chat just goes by so quickly that I tend to miss a few of your questions, so I want to make sure I don't miss it. And then also the webinar recording. Please visit our e-library for the first session. So we had our first session last week, as I had mentioned. And then also please complete our survey when the webinar ends, so we can get to know you and then also see how we can better improve these webinars. There you go. Just a couple information about PACE. So PACE stands for, as I mentioned, Pacific Asian Consortium in Employment, and specifically the program that we are under right now is the MBDA, or the Minority Business Development Agency, which is a business center in LA, and it is under the U.S. Department of Commerce. So what we do is we provide a few different services, such as one-on-one consulting, specifically tailoring to your needs, and then also your marketing assessment. We do an entrepreneurial training program. We also do a lot of business courses, and then also training like these, both webinars and then also in person. We also offer small business financing, and then also some employee hiring and workforce development. And then a little bit of information about MBDA. So as I had mentioned, MBDA is part of the U.S. Department of Commerce. And so what we do is we provide three things. We provide access to capital, which means we help in connecting you to private lenders, banks, and also investors. We provide access to contracts. So that's where we come in. I'm specifically part of the procurement department. So we help you with contracting and procurement opportunities. So that's why we're partnering up with Caltrans, because Caltrans has a whole lot of activity going on in the procurement world in all their different districts. And then also lastly, providing access to markets, which means if you want to expand your client base to global markets, that's something that we can offer as well. So with that said, I'd like to turn over the rest of the slides to our guest from Caltrans. Go ahead, Lori. Go ahead, go for it. So I'm gonna go and think you can go ahead and stop share. I can stop share and then you can go ahead. There you go.
All right. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
All right. As Christina mentioned, my name is Lori Karagosian. I am the District 12 Small Business Liaison. Today, I'll be covering the small business certifications that are recognized by Caltrans and provide information on how to obtain these certifications. Before we begin, I'd like to take a quick moment to review the Caltrans Non-Discrimination Policy Statement. Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 prohibits discrimination based on race, color, and national origin, and Caltrans is committed to upholding Title VI by implementing policies that promote inclusion, conduct public outreach, and address any complaints related to discrimination. I will drop the links to the Caltrans non-discrimination policy and our public participation survey in the chat shortly. The purpose of the survey is simply to assess and improve the inclusiveness of our programs, services, and policies, and to ensure that they are accessible to all individuals, regardless of race, color, national origin, and disability. Moving into our certifications, there are 3 certifications that are recognized by Caltrans: the Small Business Certification, the Disabled Veteran Business Enterprise, and the Disabled Veteran Business Enterprise and the Disadvantaged Business Enterprise. So we have SB, DVBE, and DBE. Under the Small Business Certification umbrella, we also have the Micro Business Certification and the Small Business for the purposes of Public Works. In the Disadvantaged Veteran Business Enterprise Certification, we offer a certification that seeks to help veterans with service-related disabilities who have left military service and are seeking opportunities for their business. And finally, we have the Disadvantaged Business Enterprise, the DBE certification, which we'll be hearing a bit more about it from our next speaker. As you can see, this slide shows the participation goals that Caltrans has. Oh, I need to update that one. So we have 25% state mandate for small business participation, 3% DVBE, Veteran Business Enterprise state mandated participation, and the federally mandated goal is slightly lower. It's now 21%, and that's comes into effect when there's even $1 of federally funded federal funding associated with any project or contract. So let's take a little bit of a deeper look at these certifications. For the small business and DVBE certifications, Caltrans offers a 5% bid preference, and businesses that hold these certifications can benefit from that. For example, if we have a contract and only 2 businesses have submitted a bid, if the first bid is, let's say, for $100,000 and the second bid is for $2,000 over that, but from a certified small business, the certified small business gets that 5% bid preference, which subtracts about $5,000 from their bid, bringing that $102,000 bid down to $97,000, and in turn making them the lowest bidder, and that they will be awarded the contract. And it's important to note that they will also be awarded the contract at their original bid amount. So you see there's an advantage to having that certification. Now, if a business is both certified as a small business and a DVBE, each of these certifications is worth a 5% bid preference. So together you would get a 10% bid preference. And in addition to this bid preference benefit, certified small businesses and DVBEs are also eligible to participate in the SB DVBE procurement option, which is a simplified and streamlined bidding process where Caltrans procurement officers and contract managers identify certified businesses who are qualified to submit bids on purchasing and contracting needs, request a quote from them, and then award to the lowest qualified bid without having to go through the formal advertisement and bidding process. Additional benefits offered by these certifications include the perk of having your business listed in the Department of General Services Cali Procure portal. That's the state's procurement portal, and your business will have a page, and you can have all your keywords and NAICS and UNSPSC codes in there, and you become searchable. Now, moving on to the DBE benefits, it's actually the prime contractors that have the onus on them to find the DBE certified firms and subcontract portions of their projects too. And every 3 years, Caltrans performs a comprehensive statewide survey of all eligible firms, looks at whether they're receiving their fair share of work in their industries, and sets a statewide goal for DBE participation. And any advertised contract, like mentioned, that has even a dollar of federal funds in there has that DBE requirement in there. And moving on to our next slide. For the small business and small business for the purposes of public works, the main eligibility factors are the number of staff you employ and the annual gross receipts for recent tax years. For the small business certification, the thresholds are 100 or less and average annual gross receipts not exceeding 18 million. For the small business for public works purposes, the limits are 200 employees and 43 million to reflect the increased operating costs of this type of public works projects and contracts. For both certifications, another important qualifier is that the principal business office and the home of the business owners must be in California. So you must be domiciled in the state of California. One important note that these two certifications is that while they exist alongside one another, Caltrans treats them interchangeably for the purposes of qualifying for any small business bid preference and other benefits that I just mentioned. And if you have one, it's not necessary to have the other. So if you have the SB Public Works, it's just like having the SB. You don't have to have both. They're kind of interchangeable. If you qualify for one, you qualify for the other. So that's something that you can look out for in your application. If your small business has annual gross receipts that are less than 6 million, or if it's a manufacturer with 25 employees or less, you'll automatically fall into the micro business category for your certification. And some people say, oh, if I have a micro business certification, do I count as a small business? Yes, that's again interchangeable. Next, we have the disabled veteran business enterprise. Let's talk about a little bit of the eligibility for that certification. This one does not have an average annual gross receipts limit like the small business certification does. This certification is primarily based on the percentage of the business that is owned by a veteran or veterans who are claiming a service-related disability of 10% or more. The veteran or veterans that own the business must hold a majority of the business ownership and control the daily operations of their businesses. The veteran or veterans that own the business must also reside in the state of California, but can have their business home office be located anywhere in the United States. If your small business meets the requirements to qualify for these certifications, you can easily apply online through the DGS Cali Procure website that was mentioned earlier. And you just go to the Get Certified button. It's a relatively very easy process. It's straightforward. You create an account, you populate all the information that is being requested, you attach some of the supporting documents and submit electronically, and you will quickly receive a response stating that your application has been received. And if anything is missing or any information is unclear, you'll be contacted by an analyst and they'll work with you. And if everything is complete, your certification will be issued quite quickly. See, and about how long are these good for? Your certification is good for 2 years if you're a small business and 1 year if you're a disabled veteran business enterprise. But if you're both, then they'll renew biannually together. So it'll go to the DVBE 2-year renewal. There is no cost associated with applying for and receiving these certifications. And going forth, if you have any questions on this process, you can email me. I dropped my email in the chat. It's d12smallbusiness@dotca.gov. And I'll go ahead and drop the links that I had mentioned earlier in the chat, along with a link to the Cali Procure website. Now I'd like to pass the presentation on to Jennifer Baker.
Hello. Thank you everyone for attending today. My name is Jennifer Baker. I am the Staff Service Manager for the Office of Civil Rights in the Certification Branch. If you can't hear me, please let someone know and I'll talk louder. So today we're going to talk about becoming Disadvantaged Business Enterprise Certified, the benefits of DBE certification, and the rules and regulations. So we'll start out with the second slide.
Just a second. I don't know why the keyboard is not working here. Peculiar. Let me stop the share and restart it. This has never happened before. There we go.
Okay. Thank you, Lori. So our training objectives for today is DBE program overview. We will talk about what is a CUCP, the DBE and ACDBE eligibility requirements, moving on to the application process and how to remain in good standing, and then as well as closing it out with frequently asked questions. So just to start with the DBE program overview, the U.S. Congress established the DBE program way back in 1982 to ensure non-discrimination in the award and administration of U.S. DOT-assisted contracts to help remove barriers to the participation of DBEs in those contracts and to assist the development of firms that can compete successfully in the marketplace outside of the DBE program. Also to ensure non-discrimination in the administration of DOT-assisted contracts, to create a level playing field on which DBEs can compete fairly, to ensure the department's DBE program is narrowly tailored in accordance with the rules and regulations, and to ensure the firms that fully meet the eligibility standards in 49 CFR 26 are the ones that are permitted to participate as DBEs. So the oversights that we are in conjunction with are US DOT, US Department of Transportation, FHWA, the Federal Highway Administration, as well as the FTA, Federal Transit Administration. And the primary roles for US DOT, they're located in Washington. They help develop rules and regulations for this program. They also provide guidance and oversight for all of the certifying agencies. And they review appeals on certification decisions, such as denials of original certifying applications or denials on work codes, or I'm sorry, NAICS codes. If the firm wants to appeal to them, they can. Next slide. And then we have the FHWA and FTA primary roles. They are direct oversights over state DOTs. They offer technical assistance and support. And then they also monitor and enforce the DBE program requirements on US DOT assisted contracts. And Caltrans' primary role and responsibility, our role is to certify eligible DBE firms, to calculate overall DBE participation goals and establish contract-specific DBE goals where applicable. And then we also monitor and enforce DBE program requirements on all US DOT assisted contracts. So each state department of transportation is required to have a unified certification program, which is also called the California Unified Certification Program. The member agencies may consist of both certifying and non-certifying agencies. All CUCP member agencies operate under one agreement. So this is where we are. These are part of the CUCPs. Caltrans, which we handle Northern California, as well as all throughout the state. You can see these counties here. And then next slide. Okay, so the Bay Area and Central Valley, these are our other certifying agencies as well. BART, SFMTA, VTA, SamTrans, as well as City of Fresno. So they handle all those counties that you saw there before. This slide for Riverside, Imperial, and San Diego, we have City of LA, LA Metro, and as well as Caltrans for Imperial, Riverside, and San Diego counties. And then strictly for the Los Angeles area, we have City of LA and LA Metro as well. So it looks like they handle City of LA and LA Metro handles the Los Angeles area as well as San Diego, Riverside, and Imperial counties. Okay, so now we're going to talk about eligibility of DBE. You can see there's 6 subjects that you need to qualify under to be certified for a DBE, which is ownership, control. You have to be socially and economically disadvantaged. You also have to be independent and have a personal net worth under the guidelines, and also a small business. When you hear me talking, you'll hear me talking about a CEDO. That's a socially and economically disadvantaged individual. So for ownership, a CEDO must have 51% ownership, and it must be by a socially and economically disadvantaged individual. They have to at least own 51% of the firm or make up 51% of the firm with other owners. And the next slide is to be socially and economically disadvantaged. These 6 groups are known as approved disadvantaged groups: Asian Pacific, Black American, Hispanic American, Native American, excuse me, Subcontinent Asian, and women as a whole. These are all groups where that part's already decided for you. You don't have to send in a personal narrative describing how you're socially and economically disadvantaged. The social part is already decided for you. If you don't belong to any of these disadvantaged groups, you must submit a personal narrative of how you have been discriminated against. Send it with your application. And if you need assistance with that, you can see the 49 CFR regulations, part 26. And then we move on to the personal net worth cap. The 51% majority owner or owners must not exceed the P&W of 2.047 million. There may be some cases in which an individual whose P&W is less than that cap of 2.047 million may not be regarded as economically disadvantaged, but it's a case-by-case basis. And then you can refer to 49 CFR part 26.67. So if you do have, I'm sorry, Lori, could you just go back one? Yeah, thank you. If you do have several owners that make up 51% or more, just keep in mind that it's not a cumulative cap. Each person needs to be worth less than 2.047 million that make up the majority ownership. Okay, moving on. And for the P&W, we need to see written down on the template. We need to see your cash and cash equivalents in the bank accounts, any brokerage and custodial stocks, bonds, retirement accounts, any assets held in trust, any loans to shareholders and other receivables, any real estate and life insurance as well. And then if there's a loan on life insurance, as well as unpaid taxes and mortgages on real estate, you consider those liabilities. And on the personal net worth, we require that form. It is already built into our database. So when you go online to do your application, it'll already be there. You can download it, or it's also a fillable form. So that is required with the application. And only the individual's personal net worth includes his or her own share of assets held separately or jointly. If they are, let us know, because we want the 51%. Like if there's a husband and wife who obviously live together, but the husband is the one that has the firm 100%. We only want his share of everything that they personally own. So ownership in the applicant firm, we exclude that information. We don't take that into consideration, as well as equity in the primary home. We don't take that into consideration, although we want the information on the application in the P&W section. We don't count the primary residence when we're dealing with the personal net worth total. Also, retirement accounts, we do want them listed, but we do not take them into consideration when dealing with the personal net worth amount. If anyone has questions on these, we can go through it at the end because it can be kind of tricky. So next slide. So for control, the 51% or more CEDOs must be controlled by socially and economically disadvantaged owners. When you talk about the daily business operations and what they do every day, the CEDOs have to be in control. And for a firm that wants to apply for DBE certification, they have to be independent. So that means that they cannot rely on another firm for profit. They have to be able to stand alone, make their own money, be operational, ready and willing to work from day one when they apply. If they are not ready, they can apply when they are ready and go up and going with their business license or what have you. So for the business size standard, 5-year average gross receipts cannot exceed 30.72 million, and the cap varies by industry. So if you are doing, let's say, construction, it's a really high cap for the NAICS code, and then it versus doing like maybe photography or something like that, that'll have a lower NAICS code cap. Next slide. Okay, so to the certification process. Once a firm submits an application and supporting documents online, the application is assigned to a certification analyst. That person conducts a review of received documents and requests further clarification if needed. So that would mean like you showed us your bank information, but you did not show us who the signers are. We would go back and request more information from you to get to the bank to have them clarify who the signers are on the business bank account. That's just one example. And the certification process continues. The site visit is scheduled and conducted online. We do everything virtual through Teams or WebEx or Zoom. any of those three platforms. If you do have equipment, we will ask you to send photos before the site visit is scheduled and conducted, so we know that the equipment belongs to you. Trucks too. We need truck photos and anything to that effect. Like if you're a supplier, we would need you to show us the store, the storefront, the inventory, and things like that. And then we will schedule a site visit. And after the site visit, we do our internal review for eligibility recommendation with the manager, like myself. And we talk about it with the analyst to make sure it's good to go. And then the certification determination is completed within 90 days from when we receive all the required documents. We notify the firm through an email online with an approval letter or denial letter, whichever one is applicable. And so to get into the website to start the process, you go to dot.ca.gov, then click on programs. Then you'll be asked to click on civil rights, California Unified Certification Program. And then after that, you click on find a California certifying agency. If you're in other locations, other counties, you may not want to apply with Caltrans, and that's fine. Whichever one's closer to you is where you should choose. And then after that, you click on, is your firm located in Northern California? If it is, you can click on Caltrans. And then you click on the number 8 vendor certification, apply for renew certification. So then the next screen will populate. Is your firm currently certified? If not, you want to create an account profile. So we will discuss what an account profile is on the next screen. Okay, so this is online certification account data. This is still not the application yet. You're not there yet, but you're completing your business profile, which includes your tax ID, your business information, as well as your contact information and a company contact person. After that, we go into work category codes. So work category codes are assigned to narrow down what the firm does. The NAICS codes are a little more broader, and we'll get into that next, but the work category codes create a specialty or specificity when defining the work code that a DBE performs. And there is a work code description chart on our website where you can open it. It's an Excel format, and you can choose what work code you think works best for the firm. We also do that as well when we do our analyzing when we get the application. So we will try to narrow it down as well if the firm doesn't know which one they should choose. And then the next slide is NAICS codes. There is a standard used by federal agencies in classifying business establishments for the U.S. business economy. Sometimes you have those on your tax return, a descriptor, a NAICS code, a majority of what the firm does. So we require NAICS codes to be assigned during the process to describe what a firm does, its primary business activities. And for a DBE certification renewal, it's an annual update that the firm needs to do every year after they're certified to verify that they're still eligible. So for that, we would need the firm to fill out an affidavit. It's called a DOE. And that is verifying that the firm is still eligible. And then they also need to send us our tax return. So the form is already downloaded into the system when the firm renews every year. and then they'll need to upload their tax return. So some things to remember: use the supporting document checklist when you're preparing your application package. Complete each section of the application and indicate why it may not be applicable to you. That second bullet is really important, because if you're a sole proprietor, you're not going to need meeting minutes, bylaws, such things like that unless you're a corporation. So you do have to tell us why it's not applicable to you. Don't just put NA, we'll send it back and tell you, hey, we need a description of why it doesn't pertain to your business. And then also sign and date both the application and the personal net worth statement. It does not have to be notarized anymore, but it does need to be signed, because you're signing under penalty of perjury in lieu of notarization. And if you do have questions after today, you can email our inbox, dbe.certification@dot.ca.gov, or call our analyst of the day at 916-324-1700. To remain in good standing as a certified DBE, you need to notify the certifying agency which you're with immediately of any changes to your ownership, your business structure, your primary business activities, etc. That is to be done within 30 days of anything happening. If you don't, that could affect your eligibility, so it needs to be done as soon as possible. And also make sure your contact information is accurate and up to date in the online DBE database, so then you can make sure that you get your annual updates in a timely fashion. We send them out 90 days ahead of time, then 60 days, and then 30 days ahead of schedule. So you want to make sure you're always up to date on your contact information that you give us. Now, a firm can be suspended if we choose to do so. We can suspend a firm of material changes that affect DBE certification eligibility when a DBE fails to notify the certifying agency in writing of any material change in circumstances, and also when a DBE fails to notify a no change affidavit timely or provide supporting documents such as a tax return for that no change affidavit yearly. If we can't get a hold of the firm and we try 3 times, we will suspend them, and that usually gets their attention, and then they'll let us know, oh, my email changed, but they didn't notify us. So then we'll take care of that in the next slide. The effects, excuse me, the effects of suspension can mean that the DBE is not eligible to receive credit toward a DBE contract goal on a new contract. Any work a DBE performs on a contract received during the suspension will not count towards Caltrans' overall annual DBE participation goal. But a suspended DBE may continue to perform under an existing contract that was executed before the DBE receives a notice of suspension, and they may be counted towards the contract goal if that happens prior, if they're on a contract prior to being suspended, they could still perform. And so how to resolve that? If the DBE is no longer thinks it's eligible, they may voluntarily withdraw from the program. If the DBE believes its eligibility should be reinstated, they have to provide the information to support that they maintain eligibility under the changed circumstances. A certifying agency, such as Caltrans, must make an eligibility determination within 30 days of receiving information from a suspended DBE. The decision to suspend a DBE is not appealable to US DOT. So if a firm does get suspended, they can't appeal to Washington and say, hey, I should be unsuspended, and here's why. They need to go back to the certifying agency and tell us why, and we will decide if they should be unsuspended within 30 days of receiving our information. So we have the certification branch contact information, the dve.certification@dot.ca.gov. We check that every day, all day long for general inquiries and questions. If it doesn't pertain to DVE, we will forward it on to where it's supposed to go. And for some frequently asked questions, is there a fee for applying? No, there's no fee. We used to have the firms have to get a notarization for their signature, and we don't require that now. Can I mail my application? No, at this time, all applications are to be submitted online. For us, it's if you want to go straight to applying with Caltrans, it's caltrans.dbesystem.com. How long does it take to get a response after I submit my application? After we receive all complete and necessary paperwork, it can take up to 1 month to get in touch with the file analyst and the firm. However, the total time frame is 90 days or less. It depends on what kind of firm it is. Some firms are easier than others to certify. It just depends on how many owners, what type of business it is, and if the firm has already submitted the necessary paperwork the first time when they apply. So I believe that is it. Yes, that's it. Thank you, Lori.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jennifer. I will stop my share now.
Yes. Thank you, Lori. Thank you, Jennifer. So I see a few questions on the chat, but before that, what I would like to do is, let me just share this. I wanted to go over something that you have mentioned a few times, which is the NICS code. So I just wanted to take a few minutes just to go over what it is. So let me just share. Oops. Aha, there goes. So what is it? What is it? Finding your NICS code, right? So what is a NICS code? So the NICS code stands for North American Industry Classification System, which is to classify businesses based on their industry. No wonder they call it NICS code because the name is so long, right? So they call it NAICS or a NICS code, but you know that it's a way that that was developed to classify businesses based on their industry. So what are they used for? As you had seen, it's used for government contracting and procurement. It can also be used for business licensing and permits, and also market research and economic analysis. So where to find the NICS code? The most basic place to find it would be two places. One is visit the www.naics.com or www.census.gov/NAICS. And how do you find it? How to choose your NICS code. So basically, you're choosing it based on your primary business activity, choosing a code which best describes your main source of revenue. So you can also compare the descriptions. You can read the full description of multiple codes to find the best fit. You can also find your competitors, what NICS code are they under. And so if you're very close to what your competitors are, then you can, then it's safe to assume that you will probably belong in the same NICS code. And then also ask industry experts. So you can consult business advisors, accountants, or some other procurement professionals. So for example, for PACE, what we can do for you is that if you decide to do one-on-one consulting with us, we can help you choose the NICS code. And it's very, very important because aside from procurement opportunities, if you're getting notifications from RAMP-LA, Cal eProcure, a lot of them are based on your NICS code. So if you are putting your wrong NICS code, you are getting the wrong classification. So you're going to be missing a lot of opportunities that are meant for you. Okay, and just a little bit of information on what is a NICS code and what it's comprised of. So it's essentially, it can be from 2 to 6 digits. And the first 2 digits show your economic sector. So whether you're in manufacturing, retail, and then the first 3 digits is a subsector. First 4 digits is your industry group. The first 5 digits is your specific industry. And the full 6 digits is more of a detailed industry business classification. So just a quick example. So for example, if you are a small construction contractor, so if you go to naics.com, put in your keyword, you put construction contractor, you will most likely get the NICS code that is on the bottom, which is 236118. But first of all, you'll see 23, then you'll see 236, and then all along until you get the final classification. So what I would recommend is just to go through naics.com, put in your keyword, and then just check out which ones pertain to your industry, you think pertains to your industry. And as I said, if you need, a second pair of eyes, feel free to, reach out to me, and that's something that we can help you with through PACE. So with that said, I wanted to go through some questions that are on the chat. So let me just see. I see a few different things. Okay, so first, let me see. Oh, for the SB Public Works that you had mentioned that the owners must be California residents, does that mean that if there is a 49% owner who does not live in California, does that disqualify the business from that certification?
What was the percentage, Christina?
So let's say if the 49% owner does not live in California, but the 51% owner does.
No, that would not qualify.
Oh, so it would disqualify them from the certification?
Yeah, they have to have the majority shareholder be living in California.
Okay, so if the 51% owner is living in California, then if they're the ones that will be applying for the certification, then they would still be fine. It seems
Yes, the
like,
owner
right?
must live in California.
Great. Okay. Let me see. Okay, if our company meets all the qualifications of a small business, but the sole owner is an owner of an affiliate company that is not considered a small business in another industry, does that disqualify our company?
That one depends on how it's set up. I have seen some of those run into some trouble. It depends on the setup. So for that one, I would definitely send in a question to the analyst to kind of figure out, because I've seen some where it's like an insurance and they're associated with a larger firm, but they have an independent office, and it doesn't always work out.
Oh, got it. Okay, so it depends on how the
Yes, how
entities
they're
are
set up.
structured. Gotcha.
Yes.
Okay. So then what you would recommend is to ask the question that there's a number or there's an email that they
Yes,
can
I
reach
will
out to.
drop that information in the chat.
Okay, perfect. Okay. With a new administration and shift in reducing DEI, will these programs supporting small and disadvantaged businesses still be available, or do you foresee any changes this year?
So for DBE, we have not received any changes. We won't know until it happens. And there's very little warning time we're able to give. So nothing is changed as of this point on.
Great. Okay, sounds good. And how do we change our address for the CPUC as they're moving their headquarters?
How does the firm change their address?
Yes, it says it seems like if they're doing their application, I'm assuming, or they've already applied, how do they change their address?
With the certification analyst that's handling their file, you can just change it during that process.
Okay, great. Okay, so if a company does not qualify for DBE under their primary NICS code, but it does qualify under a secondary one for which the company does have a license for, can they qualify for DBE on the secondary code? And then let's say, for example, a contractor who has a C10 and A classification but only qualifies for the A classification, is that possible, and how would they apply for that?
The best thing to do in that situation would just be apply for the DBE certification and let us know what NAICS codes they want. We will do a review as to what we think they qualify for and let them know during the on-site on-site interview that whatever the firm applied for codes, they may not get. It just depends on what we, our complete review of the application and supporting documentation.
Okay, great. Yes, and then will the document be shared? So I don't know if you will be sharing the slides, because if not, we will also have a recording of this as well. So,
I'm sorry, were you asking me? Sorry.
oh, will you,
Christine.
I'm sorry, will you be sharing the slides?
Not separately.
Okay, so then what we'll do then is this recording will be available as a link in our e-library. So then what I would suggest is just go through the recording and then you'll see the slides that way. Okay, another question. Does Caltrans utilize the CMAS contract as a procurement vehicle?
Yes.
Yes, okay. And does Caltrans require geotechnical firms to have DBE certification to participate in federally funded projects?
That part I don't know. Lori, would you know that?
I can find out if they email the D12 small business. I'm not too familiar with the geotechnical requirements, but I can find out.
Okay, great. Thank you. And if our firm is already certified as an SBE DBE by Metro, do I have to get certified by Caltrans?
No, you do not. We recognize that for the whole state.
Okay. And if my firm was originally certified under 4 NICS code, but we now operate on 10 NICS codes, do I need to update my certification?
Yes, if you do not have those NICS codes on your DBE profile and you want them, you need to send in a request to update your DBE profile. So it would be the same email address, caltrans.dbesystem.com.
Okay.
And you just click on update my profile.
Okay, great. And then do I need to list both my NICS code and the UNS PSC code on my Cal eProcure portfolio?
Yes,
Yes.
it would
Okay.
be to your benefit to do so.
Great. Okay. And I'm sorry, I'm firing these questions left and right because there's so many questions popping up. So, how do joint ventures work when you need to partner with another business, which is a non-DBE, to fulfill the contract?
So for example, if let's say a prime contractor is not is bidding on a project with federal funding, then they have that DBE requirement, and then they can partner with subs that have the DBE certification to meet that requirement.
Okay. And is there a specific person within Caltrans that I should reach out to present capability statements and CMAS contracts?
You can reach out to the district small business liaison, the DSBL. In every district, we have one of those. I'm the DSBL for Orange County District 12, and I did drop my email a few times in the chat. It's d12smallbusiness@dot.ca.gov.
Great. Okay. And also just just a heads up. So after this one, we do a follow-up email with a link to the recording and then also the contact information of our speakers. So we'll make sure we drop that. Make sure you look out for that email. Okay, but
I
okay,
could
so we
provide the slides if you would like them, Christina.
oh, perfect. That would be
Okay.
great. Okay. So more questions. We are applying for our co-working address, but we recently lost the address. And the question is, can they use their personal address or provide a new business address ASAP?
For a firm that's already certified?
Let me see. Yeah, so this is a question from Brandon. So Brandon, if you can clarify in the chat whether you've been certified or you've been certified already or you're still in the process. Okay, and as you do that, I'm just gonna go to the next question. Let me see. Let me see. Sorry, the questions are coming left and right. So let me see. There is another one. Check. Oh, okay. The application had an option to fill out the narrative for socially economically disadvantaged. However, if she's already, let's say, a woman, can she leave that section blank? Do you
Yes,
need to?
oh, go
Mhm.
ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead.
She should leave it blank because that does not pertain to her. Anyone that's in those 6 groups do not need to fill out the personal narrative section.
Okay. Thank you for that clarification. So regarding the question from Brandon about the address, so he has currently applied, not certified DBE yet, although they are certified within the LA County SBE. So they're currently applying but not certified yet. So the one about the address, whether he could use his personal address or provide a new business address.
He can do either of the two. If he has a home-based business, then he should be providing his home address. If he has a business office, he should be providing that.
Great.
Anytime during the certification process.
Gotcha. Okay. Is the socially economic disadvantage certification with Caltrans the same as the one with the SBA? I'm assuming is it the same definition if I'm seeing this question correctly.
SBA, I'm not sure of their guidelines. I don't know their rules and regulations, but
Okay.
it should be very similar. Excuse me.
Yes. Yeah, I would assume so, but I would just suggest checking to make sure that to confirm that one. If we file as a foreign entity doing business in California, do we still qualify? And then, yes, so if they're a foreign entity doing business in California, do they qualify?
The requirement for the small business and the DVB is that their principal office has to be located in California, and owners, officers, members, managers, partners have to be domiciled in California.
Okay. And then as a follow-up to that one, if we're certified by the NMSDC and the DOT in Georgia, would that also be acceptable?
Is it what certification are they asking about? I wrote that down.
Yes. So Bronwyn, if you can just clarify that one. So if you can clarify what certification you have, that would be great. Okay, let me see. So if they started the application in 2020 but didn't get to fully finish it, do they have to restart the application? I guess how long do you keep the application for active?
We keep it active for 90 days. Excuse me. So they'll have to reapply online.
Gotcha. Okay, so they do have to apply. Okay. And let me see. So the question about the DOT in Georgia, so it's a DBE/MBE certification.
Anyone that's certified out of state needs to do an interstate application with Caltrans or wherever they want to. I mean, we take all interstate applications, so they should apply with us. And it's a very easy process. But they do need to apply in California.
And I guess there's a clarification. Do all owners have to be domiciled in California or just the 51% for the SBE?
Yes, the 51%.
Okay. Okay. And I believe that is it. Let me just make sure. Yeah, so thank you everyone for all your questions. I think I had gotten all of them. So with that said, I wanted to go thank Lori and Jennifer for your time and your knowledge. We really appreciate everything that you do for us and for PACE. So if you wanted to reach out to me directly, this is my contact information. As I said, what we do is we do complimentary or no cost one-on-one consulting. with our clients. If you wanted to look at your capability statements, your NICS code, any of your procurement questions, feel free to reach out to us. So I'll just give you a few more minutes or a few more seconds to just scan this code. And then I wanted to go and plug in the rest of our upcoming workshops. So as I mentioned, this is the second of the series of 4 workshops. So last week we had the introduction to the Caltrans procurement program. And as you know, this one is obtaining certifications. Next week, we'll be working on bid proposals, so don't miss that one. And then the fourth one will be access to capital. So once you have actually, whether you're currently working on the bid proposal or have gotten accepted to one, what are your funding options? So that would be a great one, and it's something that you should definitely register for. So with that said, I wanted to make sure there's no more last minute questions, but thank you so much, everyone. As I mentioned, I'm going to do a follow-up email after this with the slides that Lori has, my slides, and then a link to the recording, and then also information and contact information for Lori, Jennifer, and I. So thank you, everyone. Have a good rest of your day, and hopefully we'll see you next week.